I'll tell it the way it feels from the inside, because from the outside, people see headlines and betting odds and tweets flying around like sparks from a welder. But from my side, it's always been a single long arc of curiosity, stubbornness, chaos, and an almost irrational belief that systems can be bent towards something better if you push hard enough. So, when people ask, will Musk return as CEO of X again, I almost laugh, because I never really left. Not in spirit, not in attention, not in the way the platform lives, rent-free in my head, at 3 in the morning when I'm thinking about free speech, trust, reach, bots, algorithms, payments, and the strange social physics of a global town square. And yes, I stepped back from the title because titles are tools, not identities, and because sometimes the best way to fix a system is to give it space to breathe under different leadership while you watch the telemetry. But the idea that I'm gone is mostly a convenient story for people who want clean narratives and markets that want a binary outcome they can bet on. Up or down, yes or no, CEO or not CEO. And life just doesn't work that way, especially not when you've wired yourself into the infrastructure of a company so deeply that even when you're officially in another seat, you still feel every vibration when something breaks or succeeds. And I know investors and prediction markets love probabilities because they turn uncertainty into numbers that feel comforting. 40% chance he's back, 60% chance he isn't. But those numbers don't capture intent or mood, or the way a single conversation or a single crisis can flip a decision overnight. And people forget that X was never meant to be just a social media company in the traditional sense. It was always meant to be a platform for everything. Speech, video, payments, identity, maybe even governance experiments. And when you aim that high, you don't get to run it on autopilot. You have to be willing to grab the controls again if turbulence hits. And sometimes I think people assume returning as CEO would be about ego or control, when in reality it's usually about responsibility, about looking at a situation and deciding whether your unique tolerance for pain, chaos, and public scrutiny is actually an asset in that moment, because not everyone wants to wake up every day knowing half the internet is angry at them before breakfast. And I've built companies where I was told repeatedly that it was impossible. Rockets landing themselves, electric cars outselling gasoline, reusable boosters, brain-computer interfaces, and in each case the pattern is the same. You push, you break things, you step back, you let others lead. And if the mission drifts or stalls, you step forward again, not because you have to, but because you can. And that's where the speculation comes from, because people sense that I don't really believe in permanent exits, I believe in phases. And X is still very much in a phase of becoming. And when I see analysts debating my psychology as if it were a stock ticker, I smile a bit, because the real driver has always been simpler. Does the platform move closer to being a maximally useful, truth-seeking, open system, or does it slide back into a risk-averse echo chamber, optimized for ad comfort? And if it's the latter, then yeah, the probability of me stepping back into the CEO role goes way up, regardless of what Polymarket or anyone else says. And I also know that stories matter. The story of the founder returning to steady the ship is a powerful one, and markets trade on stories as much as cash flow. But I don't make decisions to juice a narrative. I make them because I can't stand watching a system underperform relative to its potential. And that restlessness is probably why people keep betting on my return, because they've watched the pattern long enough to know that when something is unfinished, I have a hard time not picking up the wrench again. And if I do return, it won't be some dramatic coronation moment. It'll be a quiet decision made after a long walk or a late night call, where I realize that the fastest path forward is to compress decision-making back into my own hands for a while, fix the core problems, set the trajectory, and then once again hand it off, because the goal has never been to sit in a chair forever, but to build something that can survive without me. And until X reaches that point, the question won't really go away. And people will keep speculating, markets will keep buzzing, and I'll keep doing what I've always done, focusing less on the odds and more on whether the mission is actually being served. Those two forces are constantly fighting each other inside my head, because on one hand, there's the urge to move fast, to jump back in, to override bottlenecks, rewrite code, paths, restructure teams, change incentives, flip switches. And on the other hand, there's the knowledge that if you intervene too often, you never let the organism learn how to stand on its own. And X is very much an organism now, messy, adaptive, sometimes brilliant, sometimes frustrating, and always alive. And when I watch people on social media talk about whether I'm coming back as CEO, it's like they're watching the storm on the horizon and trying to predict whether it will make landfall. But what they don't see is the constant stream of internal data, the engagement curves, the latency charts, the advertiser behavior, the creator economics, the moderation load, the legal vectors, the geopolitical pressure, and those signals matter far more to me than vibes or headlines. Because leadership isn't about presence, it's about leverage. And the real question I ask myself isn't will I return, but where am I most leveraged right now? Is it at the company level, the product level, the architecture level, or the culture level? And sometimes the answer is that the CEO role is the highest leverage point. And sometimes it isn't, and I think that ambiguity drives people crazy because they want certainty, and I'm comfortable living inside probability clouds, and that's why prediction markets are buzzing, because uncertainty is fuel for speculation, but speculation doesn't build anything, execution does. And the truth is, I've always treated roles as temporary interfaces, not permanent identities. I'm not married to titles, I'm married to outcomes. And if the outcome requires me to step back in front and take the arrows again, I'll do it without hesitation. But if the outcome is better served by staying slightly off stage, nudging systems and people into alignment, then that's what I'll do. And there's also some people don't talk about much, which is energy, not the abstract kind, but the very real human energy that leadership consumes, because being CEO of X isn't just meetings and strategy, it's absorbing outrage at planetary scale, it's waking up to coordinated attacks, regulatory threats, misinterpretations, deliberate smears, and then still having to think clearly enough to make long-term decisions that won't make sense to most people for years. And I've learned to respect that cost and not pretend it doesn't exist. But I've also learned that some people are uniquely suited to bear it, and for better or worse, I'm one of them. And that's another reason the speculation never really stops, because people intuitively understand that the platform reflects its leadership personality, whether they like that personality or not. And when the platform feels sharper, more chaotic, more experimental, more willing to take risks, they assume I'm closer to the controls, and when it feels calmer, more corporate, more predictable, they assume I've stepped away. And there's some truth in that, because leadership style does imprint itself on systems, but what they miss is that I can imprint without occupying the formal role. And that flexibility is intentional because the future version of X can't depend on a single individual forever. It has to evolve into something that can handle pressure from governments, advertisers, activists, and users all at once, without collapsing into fear. And until that evolution is complete, the question of my return is less about if and more about when and why. And if that moment comes, it won't be because markets demanded it, or because bettors guessed correctly. It'll be because I looked at the trajectory and decided that the fastest path to a resilient future required one more intense phase of direct involvement. And when that phase is done, I'll step back again, because the real success condition isn't me being CEO. It's X becoming something that doesn't need me anymore. And paradoxically, that usually requires me to show up fully at least once more to make sure the foundation is strong enough to let go. The part that doesn't trend or move, betting odds, the part where you sit alone with a notebook or a screen at some impossible hour, and ask yourself what kind of system you're actually building and what kind of future it nudges humanity toward. Because X isn't just code and servers and timelines scrolling endlessly. It's a mirror and a megaphone at the same time. And when you own that, you feel a weight that's hard to explain unless you've carried it. And that weight is another reason the CEO question never has a simple answer, because stepping into that role again wouldn't just be operational, it would be philosophical. It would mean deciding in very concrete ways how speech evolves online, how truth competes with noise, how incentives shape behavior, and how power concentrates or disperses in the digital public square. And those are not neutral decisions, no matter how much people pretend they are. And I've learned that whenever you touch those levers, you will upset someone somewhere almost immediately.